And when you're playing tunes on the piano, you're going to get fairly bored of C major quite quickly. Just the same key, it sounds the same. If you were listening to an album, you don't have songs that are all in the same key. They move about. Now, there are reasons for this, obviously, to keep the listener's interest, but things like, if a singer wants to sing something, very often their voice will dictate what the key of the song is going to be. Now, how's that going to work with the piano then? Well, if I play a C major scale, and I'm just going to input it as quavers here so that you can see it. I've just used white notes and nothing else. Now that's fine, we all know the sound of that scale. But what if we start on a different note? That doesn't sound right. There's a problem there. We have one black note here. We've got the F sharp. So that's in G major. So the G major scale has one sharp, which is F sharp. Now these sort of things are best remembered if you've got a clock face. You can have your key signatures where you can just see them all. There are plenty of things online, plenty of resources that you can print out and stick on your wall to remember your keys. But really the explanation for this is because that major scale still has to sound the same. If I did, Joy to the World. Now that starts on the top of the scale and actually moves down to the very beginning of that scale. So it's actually a really good tune to play on the piano when you're dealing with your keys. Joy to the World in G would have to do this. So I have my F sharp. If I started on a D and just played white notes, nah. I have to have two sharps this time, C sharp and the F sharp. Now, the order of sharps is very important when you come to write something called a key signature. So having written out Joy to the World in D major on the computer screen here, you can see the notes. It starts on a D, which is one below the E. Remember face for those notes on the treble clef. Now, if I press play on this, now, as before, I had to put the sharps in. Now, what I could do is put the sharps in where the notes are wrong. So it's that one and this one. So if I go from the beginning again, fine. So you might, on the face of it, think, well, I'll just put the sharps wherever they need to go. But what happens if the tune is, 3 hours long and there's lots of F sharps and C sharp? You go, F sharp, there's a C sharp, F sharp, C sharp, F sharp. Why not have something that tells you at the beginning what the sharps should be? And actually, there is such a thing, and it's called a key signature. Now, on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see sort of bunches of sharps and flats there. If I were to take the one that's got two sharps, which is D major, and put them in position at the beginning of the stave here, unusually on here, you can actually, usually when you put a key signature on piano, it goes from treble clef and bass clef as well. Anyway, you can see now that the symbols that I put in before have now vanished, because at the beginning, the F sharp and C sharp tell me that there need to be those notes in. Now, of course, if I'm teaching somebody the piano and we haven't done D major yet, I might just put in the sharp for them. So, in fact, I wouldn't do that because I've changed the rhythm of the piece. I'd just take that C sharp and put the sharp in front of it. So that just basically just tells the player, oh yes, we're on C sharp now. Then we've got all of that. Now, of course, wherever you start on the piano, if you're playing that particular tune, it's a good tune to do because it has all of the notes of the major scale in it. That's the key of B flat major. That's the key of F sharp major. Now, in another video I said that actually the sharps and flats are basically the black notes on the piano. However, you can get sharps and flats which are white keys. Oh no! Yes, you can. B and C are next to each other on the piano. Now, B could be C flat. Because there's no black key in between, the interval or the distance between the C and the B is exactly the same distance as the B to a B flat. They're the same distance apart musically. So that means that you can have a C and flatten it, so it becomes a B. Similarly, you could have a B that is sharpened. B sharp. And actually, that comes out in the key of F sharp major. Now, why is this important? Well, the scale, a major scale at any rate, has to follow the alphabet. It just has to. So if we're on F sharp major here, we've got an F sharp, so there's your F, a G sharp, G, A sharp, A, B, C sharp, there's your C, D sharp, E. But that's an F on the piano, and that's why it's called an E sharp. And then F sharp to finish. So F sharp major has 6 sharps in its key signature. So if I just delete that and put F sharp major in, which is this, there we go, there's your F sharp major. Now if I start a scale on F sharp, now that penultimate note, it's an E on the stave, but it's an F on the piano. And that's because it's an E sharp. If we look to the beginning, you can see that there's a little sharp symbol where the E is. Now, when you read the key signature, if you look at the key signature on here, and this is important, especially if you're handwriting things, the middle of the sharp symbol, the middle of the hashtag, has to be centralized on either the line or the space that affects the note. So F sharp goes on the line here because that's a top F. Now, another cautionary thing here, that F sharp means it's going to be F sharp wherever you are on the piano, not just the line at the top. If you put all the sharps in for every line, you'd end up with this massive bunch of sharps, and it would actually be a bit of a nuisance. So an F sharp in the key signature of F sharp major means that F sharp, or that one. It means every single one on the piano. So there is your key signature. So each major key has a key signature. C major has no sharps or flats. G major's got 1 sharp. F major's got 1 flat, so it's the other side. D major's got 2 sharps. A major's got 3. E major's got 4. E4. Well, there's your TV channel. You can remember it like that. E4, 4 sharps. B has got 5 sharps. F sharp major has got 6 sharps. Now, as I said also before, sharps can be called flats. Oh no, not more of this. You can have D sharp, or you can have D flat. Now if we take D flat as an example, D flat can also be C sharp. Now, the purists will of course say that those two notes, C sharp and D flat, are not the same, and that is true if you are a bowed string player. I play violin. Actually, it depends on the key. It depends whether you're seeing, it depends what key you're in, because actually there are microtonal differences between D flat and C sharp. But let's forget that for the purposes of the piano and what's called equal temperament, which is the modern tuning method. C sharp and D flat are exactly the same. So that means you can have a scale that has flats in as well. Now, F sharp major that is also called G flat major, because F sharp and G flat are the same thing. So I could write this out in 2 different ways. If I just do F sharp major here, and actually here I'm going to put G flat major. Okay, so here's the first two bars of Joy to the World in the key of F sharp major and the key of G flat major. They are exactly the same in terms of their sound. If I play this through from the beginning, you will see that the music changes, but the notes do not. And there we go. So that music is written in two completely different ways. We just need to be aware that you can have these things. Now, key signatures. Each major key, C major, has no sharps or flats. Each major key has a cousin, has a relative minor as it's termed. So C major and A minor are a pair. They share a key signature, and it's always two keys that share a key signature. It's not like sort of cousins of cousins of cousins and all of that sort of thing. So C major and A minor, they're cousins. G major and E minor are cousins. So a key signature doesn't necessarily say that it's a major key. There are ways of telling the difference between a major key and a minor key. Usually in a minor key, you'll see extra little, what are called accidentals, extra little sharps or natural signs dotted about amongst the music. But that's the sort of thing that might make you think, oh, maybe that's in a minor key. So sometimes the last note of the excerpt or the last note of the piece will give it away. So, and obviously the things like the chords will give it away as well. But there endeth this session about key signatures.